How's it going, everybody? My name is Dagan. Welcome to the video. Today, I've got you my full power Smite Psyker field support guide, okay? So this is my field support Smite Psyker, and this guy is all about controlling the battlefield, being able to take control and allow your teammates to make moves, create space, take out all the enemies within the room, and ultimately get a objective off, or maybe pick up a downed teammate. That's what this build is for. It's full support and with a hint of DPS. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with our weapons. And as you can see, it's the good old-fashioned Mark IV Dueling Sword. Super powerful melee weapon on the Psyker right now, arguably the best melee weapon on the Psyker right now. And for the blessings, I've got Uncanny Strike for that plus 24% rending on multiple weak spot hits debuff. And then we've got Shred for that bonus critical chance. And then for my perks, I've got 5% melee critical chance, and then that 25% damage to maniacs. So you can just one-shot those maniacs. Yeah, Dueling Sword, super powerful. If you're not a fan of the Dueling Sword, the next best thing I would say is the Chain Sword or the Blaze Force Sword. I'm building up a new Blaze Force Sword right now, but I would go for Deflector, something like that, along those lines. And then as far as the staff, we're going to be looking at our Surge Force staff, okay? So this is like the Emperor Palpatine build of Emperor Palpatine builds, okay? If you want to shoot lightning out your hands, this is the one to use, okay? Now, going into the perks, I have 25% Maniacs and 20% damage to flak armored enemies. And for blessings, I have Warp Flurry and Warp Nexus for that bonus charge time and that bonus critical chance. Okay. As far as the perks go, I definitely do recommend flak armored enemies. The other perk, you could do bonus critical, whatever you prefer, to be honest. I just left, that's what the perks I rolled with. I just left it at that. And as stats wise, you're gonna want to, get damage, critical bonus, and charge rate, and warp resistance as high as possible. And then I could say your quell speed could be probably the lower of the stats, but this is a pretty great roll. Search for staff, so that's kind of what you want to look for. I have another one here, which maxed out stats on charge rate, critical bonus, and damage. The warp resistance is low, but the quell speed is high. This is another good one that I like to use, and it has warp flurry for it. But I just have the other one on for the sake of the video. As far as Curios, for this particular build, this one is the field support full support build for your teammates. I like to run 1 toughness and then 2 health, okay? And specifically 1 of the health with a toughness regeneration speed, and I'll explain that why here in a little bit when we look at the talent tree. Okay, so here it is. Here's the talent tree. We're going to pick up Soul Stealer so that we replenish 7.5% toughness on warp attack kill. This is going to go from your staff and through your smite. So, and if you use a Blaze Force sword, it will combo with that as well. Quietude, replenish 5% toughness, reach 10% of peril quelled. Warp expenditure, make sure you pick up that perfect timing for the extra warp damage. And we're going to use battle meditation as well. And we're going to go down and pick up our smite with both the lightning storm and the enfeeble. Enfeeble is super strong. Whenever you activate your smite, all the enemies affected by your smite are going to take 10% increased damage from any source. So this is your teammates' guns, your teammates' melee weapons. Okay, this is good. They're going to take more damage. Okay, so it's going to help them clear out the room much faster. We're going to pick up that peril generation and go down to Psykinetics Aura. Okay, we're going to decrease ability cooldown for you and allies and coherency by 5% on elite or specialist kill, which you will be doing a lot. And Seer's Presence. All right, and this is where the major change is: 10% cooldown reduction on abilities for you and allies and coherency. Okay, we're not using Warp Siphon. We're actually doing Empowered Psionics in this build, so it is very important to have these 2 perks, so that way you can have ultimately your combat ability up as much as possible, and same with your teammates' combat abilities. So we got one with the Warp for that toughness damage reduction. And then here is with Seer's Presence, Psychonetic's Aura, and the Telekind Shield. This is where we get into the support, the heavy support aspects of the build, as well along with the crowd control of Smite. Okay, I went ahead and did Telekind Dome so I can get Sanctuary, where we get that toughness regeneration while we're standing inside the dome. Okay, and also 50% toughness damage reduction for 5 seconds as well. All right, and then we're going to go down. We're going to pick up Puppet Master, so we get that 50% radius for the coherency, and solidity to increase our quell speed, because we're going to need to quell a lot on our staff and when we use Smite. And then we're going to go down the middle tree, always pick up Warp Rider for that free damage. And then we're going to get Empowered Psionics. Kills have 7.5% chance to empower your next Bliss. And what that does for your Smite is going to give a plus 125% damage and 50% faster spread between enemies. Okay, and also Psychic Leeching. This is another aspect of the support build. Whenever you pop your Smite, you're going to actively replenish 15% toughness to you and ally and coherency, which is great, and why we took Puppet Master to increase our radius. So whenever we need to use Smite, we can help our teammates regenerate their toughness. And then we've got Overpowering Souls to guarantee, empowered psionics on kills, on elite kills. And then we're going to do Charged Up to now hold 3 stacks of empowered psionics. Okay, and these are really good. The reason we take Overpowering Souls over Bio Lodestone increases your chance to gain Smite from 7.5% on kills to 12.5%. The reason we take it Overpowering Souls is because you can actually, if you happen to kill, let's say you happen to finish off an elite with your Smite, then that warp charge empowered psionics charge that you lost for using that Smite, you immediately gain it back. Okay, and so you can just kind of cycle through, and it does happen quite a bit. So I think it's just a much better perk to take. Okay, so what are you doing with this perk? Let's say there's an objective on the map. We need, your teammate has to do the little puzzle mechanic. Okay, pop the shield, cover him with Smite. We've got empowered psionics. We're gonna stun everything, take everything out, and keep covering. Okay, and that's pretty much all this build is for. If there's a teammate that's down and you need to res, same thing. You're gonna pop the shield, or if you guys are getting suppressed down by gunners, pop the shield. If your teammate needs to get this res off and there's a bunch of enemies, pop your Smite. It's very simple. Okay, and the Surge Staff is doing really well, hitting crits, and I just prefer it over most staffs. Now, at the time of this recording, this Surge Staff is bugged. Okay, Surge Staff is bugged right now, but it will be patched and fixed, and this build will get even better. I have to say, though, I haven't had too many issues running it, but there is some minor issues with the damage. It's very inconsistent, either sometimes really high, sometimes really low. So if you want to, you can swap out the Surge Force staff to go for Void Strike or Purgatus, or even Trauma Force staff is doing really well right now. But I've been using the Surge Force staff and not been having too many issues, and I'm sure you'll be fine too. Okay, so that's what you can do with the field support build. This is full team support. Okay, it's gonna rely on your team having to kill or mop up a lot of the enemies, but you're going to be able to control the whole field, which is really nice. So that way you can create space and things like that for your teammates. Now, I do want to mention another way that you can play this build, and it'll be slightly modified, and it's going to be more DPS related. You're going to lose the dome shield, so you're not going to get that toughness regeneration from the dome shield. But just to show you, this is another great support build. And so I switched my builds, and now we instead, just so you can see, this is the field support build. This is going to be the new one. Okay, this is the other way you can play this build. It's going to have a similar condition, except it's going to have a lot more damage involved and a little less tankiness, okay? And tankiness from the dome shield. Everything else is just about the same, okay? So we pick up Soul Stealer, and we also pick up Perilous Combustion. What's the change here is we pick up Perilous Combustion, and we lose Battle Meditation, all right? We still pick up Smite, but we also pick up Wildfire, okay? When enemies die while affected by your Soul Blaze, nearby enemies gain up to 4 stacks of Soul Blaze. They cannot gain more stacks than the dying enemy had. We still pick up Psychonetic's Aura. Going down, we get Seer's Presence, okay? And with this, still getting that faster cooldown for our enemy, or for us and our allies. And then we got one with the Warp for the damage reduction. And then we're swapping out the shield for Venting Shriek. And from Venting Shriek, we're going to go down and get Creeping Flames, so that way when we hit, we also apply Soul Blaze, okay? And that's where the synergy between Venting Shriek, Wildfire, and Perilous Combustion come through with the Soul Blaze. Still picking up Puppet Master for that 50% aura, okay? We are losing the Quell Speed, so we are losing this toughness damage reduction and Quell Speed, but we keep the aura, and we're going to pick up Critical Chance boost for that extra crit, and then we're going to still go down and pick up Empowered Psionics. And then as far as the toughness regeneration goes, you're mainly going to get it from the Psychic Leeching, okay? So the gear itself is the same. If you want to swap out Search for Staff, go ahead, but the Psychic Leeching is where you're going to get your 15% toughness regeneration whenever you pop your Smite, okay? Your teammates are going to recover, and you are too. So, just to show you. And then set everything on fire. Now, I did put on my Blaze Force Sword, just because it has Blazing Spirit, but ideally, I would still keep on the Dueling Sword, okay? So keep on the Dueling Sword and go from there, alright? But that way, you can pop your Smite, there's a whole room of enemies, and then once you get to that critical peril, you can pop it, set everything on fire, and then clear the room from there, okay? I think this is another great way to run the build. It does require a little more safety. You got to play a little bit safer because you don't have that cover from the shield, but I believe that with the Search for Staff and with the Venting Shriek, you can take out those gunners quick enough that it won't be too much of a problem. Then you can pop your Smite and go from there. So I'm just going to show you the skill tree one more time. This is for the DPS version of the Field Support Psyker, and here is the full support, team support, field support Psyker skill tree. All right. But that's the build, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful, and if you're going to try this build out, let me know down in the comments below. And if you could really do me a big favor and leave a like on the video, I would really appreciate it. And subscribe if you've been enjoying my content. I'm going to keep trying to post stuff regularly. But thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.